Maj Toure, welcome to the show.
Welcome. I appreciate you for having me.
Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on. I've been trying to get you on for a while. You're somebody on the internet that I greatly admire
Thank you.
because there's two types of people in this world, man. Like in my opinion, there's people that talk and there's people that do shit. And
Yeah.
and I watch you, and you're all about getting shit done, man. And that's rare today. I'm really a person that admires that.
Thank you so much. I actually, it's funny you say that because for 2025, I want to reapproach how we get things done. So this will be a great conversation going into, we kicking into gearing into 2025. So things are changing, things are switching, but things are growing and evolving in a good direction. So happy to be here.
Yeah, talk to me more about that, man, because I've been seeing you posting a lot about 2025. There's a lot of people talking about New Year's resolutions and getting all psyched for 2025. And what are you thinking about, man?
First, I need to make sure that we are training. I've already, instructed tens of thousands of people, with firearms basics and conflict resolution and things related to the Second Amendment and personal protection and self defense and stuff like that. But the limitation now is kind of in traveling so many different places and seeing it, you start to go, oh man, they're missing this. Oh man, they're missing that. Like, so for example, again, when we first started, it was just conflict resolution and firearms basics, right? Then you go, so none of y'all have a stop the bleed kit. None of you have,
Mm.
an IFAC. Your house doesn't have an EFAC. Nobody knows anything about how to tie a tourniquet. So now we add that into it, right? And so then over time, you start to go, man, you got a gun and that's cool and all, but like you're out of shape.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Or you don't drink water, or your blood pressure and your heart rate is insane. And after, or even something as simple as we have this conversation about the Second Amendment in our classes, then we go, you've never read the Constitution, actually. You don't understand civics. And so these orbiters have been created off of these lessons around the country for the last 7 going on 8 years and recognizing, man, we are the American public in general is severely uh, un- ill-equipped as it relates to a holistic approach. And we start as the gun community, and we start to say, all right, we got to make sure that the urban demographic is not left out of this because so many amazing people there and these stories. This is the community that needs it the most. But I've been across the country more times than I can count at this point, and I'm not saying this to sound disparaging to anyone, but appendix carry, I can line the sights up a lot better and a lot easier. But if my belly's in the way, I can't appendix carry. Now we're talking about how long are you going to be around to be a protector for your family. I had a conversation today with my barber, and he's like, man, I want to hunt. He got a crossbow. And he's like, I really want to hunt a deer, man. He's like, and I'm just learning all of these things that I never thought about. He's like, I don't even know how I'm gonna feel like breaking the bones of the deer or this, that, and the third. And I'm like, yeah, those are things that you're gonna have to think about. My point in saying all of that is seeing how many people from my demographic, which is urban America, there's deficiencies. And going into 2025, we wanted to curate something that could heal and help people strengthen the areas that they're weak in without removing the Second Amendment conversation, without removing the firearms basics. So we're evolving into something called the Solutionary Nine. Everybody knows we have the Solutionary Center, we have the Solutionary Lifestyle, but I've yet to see uh, a university online where people could come learn and be a 7 out of 10 of a bunch of these different areas, right? And so it's kind of like a culmination of 72-hour survival courses that I've taken. Um, Obviously, Black Guns Matter work. My good buddy Andy Frisella has 75 hard. And my friend Mike Rashid has this thing, and all of these people. Daniel Horner, I'm a part of his thing, and I have all of these relationships with really, really dialed in people from whatever their specific lane is. but I've never saw a urban centered, solution based health and fitness slash gun slash civics scenario. So we just made it. And it's interesting because we made a lot of people purchase firearms over the last 7 to 8 years from our demographic. I think maybe for like the sixth year in a row, African American women are the largest purchasing firearms purchasing demographic. I mean, you
Wow.
can see it's parallel with the inception of Black Guns Matter, right? Um, but now it becomes okay. Got to get them civically involved, right? Got to get them on this legislation. Got to overturn the Gun Control Act. Got to overturn the National Firearms Act. Got to vote out and primary politicians that are anti-gun. All of this is connected, and saying all of that to say in a roundabout way. One of my personal goals for 2025 is I need to create 9,999 solutionaries that run through that program. And we can reach more people by making it online, and people can take these classes at their own leisure. We can consistently flood them with free content. We can make them members of a community. All of these things that we need. And I'm saying this kind of tongue in cheek for what my individual desires are for 2025. But even outside of that, from a more emergency perspective, Trump's, going to get reelected, right? Or his inauguration's in a few weeks here. But NATO and certain organizations are still trying to push for Ukraine involvement into NATO, which is one of the things that, Putin kind of said, hey guys, just don't do this. And Putin is saying, like, you guys know, I don't want to hit you with these nukes, but I 100% will. And I don't think he's bluffing. So it's a good thing that Trump's in there, and it seems on the outside, as far out on the outside as I am, they have a good relationship, him and Putin, and maybe we can avert that. But I'm thinking about, what if that goes left? What if
Mm.
these billionaires ain't building all of these underground bunkers for no reason? And so saying all of this to say, on a more emergency level, I want people to have a holistic understanding of growing food, uh, you know understanding survival of, and especially in the urban demographic, because just because we live in an urban center does not mean we should not know these things. And so on an emergency level, just in case, I think that communal, self sufficient, I can grow stuff, I can preserve stuff, and I can defend stuff thing in an urban demographic is very, very key. Because even, and I'll land here on it, even on in both of the world wars, when the supply chains were messed up, Granny had a farm and had a little, was growing a little bit of food out there, and they could barter a little bit, and until the food supply chain got strong again. So I think that's just stuff that urban demographics need to focus on, and I'm super excited for that for our 2025, all while not ignoring any of the components. You add over the years, you distill, you condense, and we have a program that we can time collapse all of the stuff that we've learned over the last 7 to 8 years and get it to a beginner where they have a solid, fundamental understanding of all these things, and it'll make them stronger.
Man, I love that so fucking much, man, because I'm you probably know, a lot of people do. I'm a libertarian, man. Like
Yeah,
I'm really concerned with issues of liberty, and I'm also a huge gun enthusiast.
yeah,
And I I find oftentimes for people focus on the rights
hmm,
without the corresponding responsibility,
yeah,
right? And they don't understand these are not separate, these are intertwined. You
right,
cannot have liberty unless you have a good citizenry with decent morals, and they're embracing personal responsibility. And so
yeah,
oftentimes I see people like, hey, this is my right, this is my, and a lot of times, and it's true, right? You push it, you have a right to defend yourself, you have a right to carry a firearm.
right,
um, but they don't go that extra step and talk about what is your responsibility with
right,
respect to this right. And so I love that you're focusing on that, because I think it's underlooked. It's so children, adults in America are kind of like petulant children,
right.
like gimme, this is my right, this is what I'm entitled to, and there's no talk about fucking responsibilities, man.
It's funny when you think about it, because I remember a few years ago, I did an interview with Reason magazine. They came to the Solutionary Center and we did an interview. And Zach interviewed me, and I said, you know, the hood or Black America is going to save America from Joe Biden. And everybody was like he snickered in the interview. And I was like, I'm looking at the pulse of America, and I think this may have been he might Biden may have been in for a year and a half, 2 years at that time. And I remember saying, like, yo, the pulse of the people are saying, hey, this is what we need and this is direction. Or you could look at the things that they just lack. And not because, you know, we're not interested. It's a systemic approach to make sure that certain information is not in certain areas. It's not like rocket science or a deep state secret at this point. Like, they make movies about the CIA deliberately dropped the crack off in the community. Like, this isn't, deep thinking. But seeing that and seeing the level of people that are now willing to go, yo, I'm not okay with this, especially after the COVID 2020 to 2020.
Mm.
I'm not cool with it. It was so many frustrated people. We're seeing people like 50 Cent move from New York to Texas. 50 lives in Texas now,
Yep.
right? I remember, getting kicked off of planes, and we bought an RV. And I remember being in the South, being in places like, that year that the Libertarian National Convention was in South Dakota. I remember being in these places and going, man, Texas and South Dakota, which never shut down, and Florida and certain parts of Georgia, not the big cities, not Atlanta, where it's just like, hey, listen, bro, if you're feeling a little feverish, go ahead and check yourself into the the hospital. But we going on business as usual. But in the big cities, certain areas where certain people, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, the political apparatus had froze so many people out, and so many of the urban people were like, yo, we don't like this. And doing these classes and saying people like, yo, man, I wish it was something like, because I get to draw, clear the garment thing, but man, I gotta get in shape, and hearing that, and then
Mm.
going, oh, there's a solution there, or somebody going, yeah, man, I moved down to Florida because, man, the taxes was killing me in Brooklyn, da 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 da, and it's like, okay, I can introduce that person to liberty. You know, these clients and these students and these solutionaries and these folks that have come to our classes, they are telling us exactly what we need to make sure we make available to them. And they are more than willing, especially again with the overreaching hand of government in the last few years, they are more than willing to step in at least on a basic level to make sure that they get a little bit of that information. And it's our job, as liberty lovers, as gun enthusiasts and advocates and activists, and health and fitness folks, it's our job to make sure that we get that information to them in a very simple and digestible way. And they're gonna take it from there. Some people gonna just, it's like, hey, I'll start you on firearms basics, but some of these folks will grow to be instructors. We've had that. The Don Firearms is an instructor out of Boston. He came to our very first BGM class. Very first. It was a snowstorm. It was like hundreds of people showed up, and he was there. And in being there, he's now a dialed in, firearms instructor. I remember plugging him with Buck Doyle, and I'm watching them make content together now. And so some people will go that direction. Some people will go, I still have a solid understanding of the firearms component, the Second Amendment component, but I want to get people uh, more healthy. I want to get their fitness levels up, right? And so our job is we the entry level of this thing, to just get these demographics more dialed into this and let them gravitate naturally to the more specific lane that they want to. But the demographic is ripe for it, and it's been ignored. I hope I can link up with some more work with, like, the national shoot shouts to the National Shooting Sports Foundation. They made about 5 of our fall classes available for the month of October. I want everybody to go follow and support the National Shooting Sports Foundation, because obviously they do a lot of stuff in rural America because the shooting sports and hunting and things like that. But we need the hood involved in the NSSF. We need the hood showing up again, at SHOT Show. We need more people. I remember years ago when Tiger Woods started doing his thing, and you had dudes from the hood, hey, man, I'm going to go play some golf now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I want to make sure that we're showcasing that, because that's really what America is. America is that when we strip past the false narratives, and even some of the ugly parts of our history. There's a good uh, core of unity, but we need to make sure that we're informing people outside of the propaganda and just showing them the information. So again, I'm just super excited for it, and I don't think, just like with Black Guns Matter initially, nothing had existed like it before that, and I don't think anything's existed like this. So we just going to see where it takes us.
Oh man, I'm really happy to see that. It's always struck me as ironic that the descendants of slaves in America
Hmm.
weren't as connected with the concepts of liberty, right? Like it's been a big disconnect for me. It feels
Yeah,
like they've been sort of trapped as I mean, I'm painting with a broad brush, but you know what I'm saying? They get kind
yeah,
of trapped as you're obligated to vote Democrat. You're sort of
yeah.
captured by that party, and if you don't, conform, that you're some sort of, I'm not even gonna say some of the words that get leveled towards people.
It's the Biden shit.
Hmm.
If you don't know if you better vote for me or Donald Trump, then you ain't black, right?
Oh, how absolutely insulting, man.
It was
Jeez.
I remember when I saw it, I was like, main man is wilding right now, right? Um, but it's not necessarily that we don't have a thirst for liberty. There's a great book called Please Stop Helping Us. And it talks about government involvement, more specifically in urban demographics, right? And saying this to say, government in urban America is like, you ever burn the roof of your mouth?
Yeah, plenty of times.
And it would heal better and faster if you stop like tonguing it and picking
Mhm.
at it. They're picking at the things that they burned out the roof of our mouth, and then they're picking at it too. Please stop helping us, right? So it's not the we don't have this desire and association with liberty, but when the Great Migration happened after emancipation and people started moving up north for industrial jobs and things like that, you know, Democrat politicians did a very good job of pushing the Marxist, and we it's clear to see now. But they just did a very good job of confusing people and making them conditioned to accept city life. The folks that stayed down in the South, because the highest concentration of black folks in America is in the South. The biggest populated black state is Mississippi.
Mhm.
And so um, they had a healthy distrust for government because they had a hands-on, definition of this is government and this is what they did, right? So they had a healthy distrust for it, but they also maintained a certain level of self-sufficiency because of it. The cities made us a lot more grittier, but kind of weaker and less self-sufficient. And so those are the things that kind of, it's not that we despise liberty. There were active practices to make sure that legislation was created to kind of like dissuade people from liberty. So if you talk about a New York situation, you say, or even if you talk about cities like what's it called, Ferguson, and like St. Louis and that area,
Mhm.
there were homes that these were black owned homes, but it wasn't mansions, but they were there, right? And so in doing that, the government of that city of Ferguson was like, yo, let's just tear these down, use eminent domain, and let's build projects to help you. So one of the biggest, indicators of generational wealth is home ownership. So these people own the cribs, y'all tore them down to eminent domain, said we're gonna make them more modern. You made them projects, and then said in order to live here, you can't carry a firearm. So we got rid of your home ownership. We impacted your legacy building as it relates to generational wealth. We put you in a project that we kind of like neglected, and then we told you can't exercise your Second Amendment rights there. And then you speed that up, and look at how many times that's happened all over the country. It's not that the folks didn't want liberty or didn't already have a certain level of autonomy and liberty, but government stepped in and did things to negate it. Same as gun control. You talk about New York, I work at BGM, we're cited in the Bruin decision when everybody told us don't do work in New York, and we did. And we're seeing the overturn of that, and now we're seeing Governor Hochul and mayors of different, primarily New York City, still trying to make it more oh, we got to get them jumping through hoops for the licensing situation, right? Even though the Bruin decision is very, very clear. This is a systemic, and I hate that word because people overdo it, right? But this is a systemic approach to make sure that people in these demographics are not exercising their Second Amendment rights. So it's not that those folks would not have had the thirst for liberty. They've been reared and raised in a culture in a leftist arena that goes out of its way to make it look like liberty is the actual enemy. And they still have this innate thing to go, well, I still kind of just want to be able to carry a gun. I still kind of want to be as bad guys up the street. If I got to get the gun from Johnny up the street because they won't sell me one at this other place, then I got to do what I got to do. Our job is to make sure that liberty is very, very cool in the hood, and make sure that people don't have no qualms about, no, I'm exercising my right. And we can't say that that's not what they're doing if we have cases like Dexter Taylor.
Mm.
Dexter Taylor was putting together pre-purchased firearms for hobby post the Bruin decision. And the ATF runs in his crib, and he's in Rikers Island right now for exercising his Second Amendment rights. So the thirst for liberty is always there, but the overreaching hand of the state, as the founding fathers of America clearly explained was a concern, is there, and it's concentrating in this demographic. And that's why it's very important for us to do the work that we do and concentrate on those areas to present solutions to those folks.
Yeah, that's a really good summation, man. And I've been really happy to see the demographic shift with
Yeah,
respect to how you're looking at politics, even if it's just fuck the Democrats who've been lied to. Even just that awakening itself
yeah,
is super important. And I've been seeing a community that almost looks like it's searching for an identity.
yeah.
Right, because they're not traditionally one thing or another, and some folks are going MAGA. They're doing the Trump thing. That's bold. That's a bold statement.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of folks seem to be trending more libertarian too. So I've actually been really encouraged to see some diversity of thought in the hood, man. Like that's been really refreshing to see. I'm really stoked. I think you're behind a lot of that.
Yeah, because we started this thing called BLM. I just take stuff away from things and repurpose them. That's what the left does. It's like they took the term woke, which actually meant something, and it's turned into something else, and then conservatives repeating the wrong definition and going again, whole thing. But nonetheless, BLM stands for Black Libertarian Movement. I don't care if you white in the hood. If you want to be a part of the Black Libertarian Movement, be a part of it. We are raising a black flag on anything that's not liberty based. We don't want to keep quarter for you. We don't want to give you food and shelter. No. If you are in opposition to our liberty, black flag time, champ. That's just what it is. And so, I've been saying for years on some of the biggest platforms almost in the world. Only one I pretty much haven't been on is maybe Rogan and a couple of others. But nonetheless, um, I've said on Mike Rashid's podcast years ago, the hood should be libertarian. I've told people for, like even when it was the bad branding that certain things happen, I'm like, yeah, but still that doesn't change the fact. Big Boy from Outkast, which is arguably one of the biggest or most popular hip hop groups of all time, Big Boy's been a libertarian under the radar for over 25 years. And so uh I haven't ran into anybody that from the hood that didn't like a Ron Paul quote. So just we have to make sure that we just not neglecting this demographic, because a lot of times the left will use their media skillfully to make it look like this area is a lost cause, right? And imagine that, an American leaving other Americans behind enemy lines and saying it's a lost cause. Like that's the antithesis of every Rocky movie. Like we just don't do that, right? And so um the reason why that shift is happening is because I've been adamant about it for years, going like, yo, the hood should be libertarian. I'm a libertarian. I'm a libertarian. When I'm in CPAC, I'm on the stage at CPAC, they know I'm a libertarian, right? I think it's becoming stylish again. And yeah, I'm going to pat myself on the back for that, for making it the concentration in the urban demographic. Even now, I don't think that there's many libertarians actively saying, hey, let's go target urban demographics. I don't think so. And if it is, great. I just think that the languaging and ignoring some of the goofballs that do horrible outreach. They are horrible people that hide. Same thing in the conservative space. There are people that hide their bigotry behind false patriotism or false conservatism or false libertarianism. So the better we get at highlighting the voices that are about liberty, that are willing to inform what libertarian values are in that urban demographic, while ignoring the goofballs that make it really, really like it's some people that's like nobody in the hood's gonna listen to that dude because that dude's clearly a bigot, you know. But if we can continue to do that and highlight more of those voices, huge shouts to Dr. Boyce Watkins is a libertarian. Most people don't even know Dr. Boyce Watkins has all of these PhDs and degrees in finances and all of that. He's super pro-black. He's like, look, the black community needs economic like strength, right? And so I remember introducing him to libertarianism, had him come out to the Solutionary Summit, and he doesn't vote Democrat or Republican anymore. He's a libertarian. Um, we just got to keep creating force multipliers. And if we want to win this, that's the reason why the left is in the hood. It's just a heavily populated area. And so the battle is for hearts and minds in that demographic. And I think we can do it. And I think some of the heavy lifting is done for us. On the way out, Joe Biden is torching the Democratic Party for them forcing him
Oh
out
yeah.
of the seat. And so some of those people that believed a lot of the stuff that the Democrats were going to do, today, he officially was like, yeah, we're not doing that student loan forgiveness thing. We're not doing it. And there was a lot of people on the left that was like, yeah, they're going to do that. Now, if you had any basic understanding in economics, she was like, hey, guys, I don't know if we should do that. But I understand the appeal. Nonetheless, this dude is doing everything wrong. And he has lifted our work to Herculean levels because he was so bad. It was people in the hood going, I didn't sign up for that shit. I didn't, what? This is the same person that was like, no one is above the law. Then was like, except my son Hunter.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful for us because I go, yeah, Hunter should have never been charged with that. The
I-
4473 form shouldn't even exist.
Yeah, man, that killed me. It's like going on the internet having to defend Hunter Biden in public. It's like, damn you, man. Can't believe I'm doing this.
But it did some of the heavy work for us. And I think that was a major key. And I think now we have more of a, because some people aren't as far as, Trump in regards to like thumbing the nose up at the Democrat Party. But the libertarians, as Larry Sharp says, you'll have if you want to be a Democrat, fine. If you want to be a Republican, fine. But if there's more libertarians in the room, you'll have better Democrats and better Republicans in the room because the libertarians are going, how's that line up with democracy? What do you mean? What do you mean, Republican? How's that tie into fiscal responsibility? What you, a rhino? I thought you was a conservative. Oh, you just a rhino? Better libertarians that are articulating these things from an extreme, so-called extreme, limited government perspective is what the founders wanted. And this will not happen. Just like I said about black people are going to save America from Joe Biden, and they did in this last go-round, or Kamala Harris, right? This will not happen if you do not get urban demographics on board. It's just New York City has 8 million people in it. New York City has 8 million people in it. Like at any given moment, it's 8 million people in that city. So in what world would you think that you could ignore that demographic? It's silly. And leftists are smart in going, we're going to concentrate here. I'm not mad at, I think it was LBJ that said, I'll have those niggas voting Democrat for 200 years. That's the theory, right? I'm not mad at him. I understand the play. It was like, we need to hold on to power. This is the demographic that we need to make it happen in. And now we just have to be, I mean, obviously we won't repeat the same phrasing, but it just becomes like, we need to make this demographic lean more towards liberty by just exposing the information. And, Biden and that whole administration from his press secretary, the first one to the second one to this one to the. It's just been so much of a godsend that they were this horrible because I don't even like it's low key people hitting me up coming back going like, Maj, you was talking about that libertarian thing again because I can't do main man, and so we got to look at that as the tactical advantage that they actually are handing to us.
Yeah, so I love that quote about libertarians making the Democrats and Republicans in the room better.
Yeah,
But I gotta say this, man. Like that's a great idea in theory, and it
yeah,
seems like there is a lot of excitement in the libertarian community with
yeah.
Angela McArdle's strategy to try to get some concessions and put a libertarian in the cabinet. It's debatable whether RFK is actually a libertarian, but Ron
Mhm.
Paul is participating in Doge. Thomas Massey is. There's going to be some people in the room.
Yeah,
Um, but dude, I am so skeptical after watching the first Trump term. I
yeah.
think this excitement is maybe a little bit overblown, and maybe I'm just too old and seen too many things, man. But maybe you can make the case for me because I'm not seeing it, man. Like I see his first term, and then when he's running for re-election, and everybody was talking about him like he was a second coming, and I was like, my God, dude, like he was absolutely off the rails when it comes to fiscal responsibility. He printed more money than any president in history. Matter of fact, I did the check this out, dude. I looked at the math here, and so in 1 month of Trump's term, in March of 2020, he
Hmm.
printed $6.5 trillion of new money, right?
Yeah.
Tripled the M2 money supply in 1 month, and that constitutes all of the debt that the U.S. had accrued from George Washington until Barack Obama took office, his predecessor, in 1 month. And it's like, and not to, I mean, I don't have to tell you about the gun issues, right? Like conservatives, I
Yeah.
think, have got a real, misunderstanding of Trump. Every time I see like on Palmetto State, they'll have some fucking, 45, themed Glock or something. I'm just
Right.
face palming so hard, dude. So long story short, it's a big preamble, but I wanted to get your thoughts, man. Like, am I just being too pessimistic, or are these
No,
libertarians gonna move the needle?
I don't think that you're being pessimistic based on the lack of trust. I don't trust any politician. Any. We sell shirts that say "Make politicians afraid of you."
Mm,
Um, Comparatively, do I think from a negotiation standpoint he is going to be a better negotiator than Biden? Even if we only isolated it to OPEC nations, yes. Like, not even a question. It's almost low key like there doesn't need to be an inauguration because of the fact that it looks like Trump's already in there,
hmm
right? From a negotiation standpoint, I 1000% would prefer to see a Trump as opposed to a Biden or a Harris. That does not mean that uh, we can't advance the cause. David Nolan gave a great breakdown of what the Libertarian Party is supposed to be. It's a vehicle to promote liberty. We have always been force multipliers. Even if somebody was stealing Ron Paul's stuff and they snuck it in, great. We knew it came from Ron Paul,
hmm
right? Even if someone was directly going, hey, let me sit down. The fact that the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, is reposting and saying, hey, can Ron Paul, would you be open to this? That is a testament to Angela McArdle's roll of the dice. It may not manifest in the form that um, you know, Angela McArdle's in the White House every day. But Angela McArdle has a direct line to President Trump. I was at the Libertarian National Convention and it wasn't a cakewalk. People wasn't just walking in there like, yes, we absolutely, libertarians weren't just going, we 100% agree with Trump. I was right there. I was in the front row. They were, when he said something that made sense in alignment with that, cool. We was like, yeah, we agree with that. When he said things that we disagreed with, people booed him. My point in saying that is, I don't trust any politician, and I definitely do not trust in any way, shape, or form the United States government. I don't. His cabinet picks domestically have been solid, somewhat, in my opinion, way better than the first whatever, right? I like that he's got Don Jr. involved in vetting some of these folks, right? His international picks, I disagree with the vast majority of them.
Boy, they're bad.
I think he's giving me real pro-Israel energy, I do not care about another nation. I don't
Well,
care.
well, hold on. Not just Israel, dude. Like, do you see the latest story that he's intending to continue all the aid to Ukraine?
And maybe he's just saying that until January the 20th. But
Maybe.
if he does, I go, you're wilding. I personally do not find anywhere in the Constitution, maybe I missed it, where we are obligated to send foreign aid to any nation. I don't care about any other country right now. I live in America. I live in the birthplace of America. I live in Philly. I do not care. Sorry, guys. Ukraine, figure it out. I can insert any nation. You know, I was looking at one of the breakdowns, and there was however many ungodly number of money, that millions of dollars that went to gender studies in Pakistan. I'm not
Yep.
making this up.
No, I saw that. That's real.
And I'm just like, oh, okay. This last however many billion package, right? That they packaged and to send over to Ukraine. I saw it. It might have been a few days ago, if I'm not mistaken, but nonetheless, right? I think it might have been like the last $1 billion package, because I think they had 6 billion in that surplus left over, so they could shoot that over to Ukraine, right? And all I could think about was the hurricane victims in North Carolina that are still underwater, damn near, right? Figuratively and potentially literally. West Virginia, Florida, some of these places are still banged up. You guys got out there and said they could apply for $750 and their house is floating by. But you're going to put together another aid package for Ukraine. If Trump continues that, then it's more the same on that level. Now, I think that having those people in the room that are better for him to listen to, I like Vivek. I don't like Vivek as early in his campaign trail for his approach to urban America. I think he was repeating a lot of the neocon
Hmm.
statements, and I just was like, bro, that shit not gonna work in our community, right? However, Vivek started hanging around libertarians. I saw Clint Smith. Arguably, I believe Clint won that debate at the LNC in DC. You know, me personally, I like Clint. My point in saying this is they will be influenced by the money. Elon is repeating very, very libertarian conversations, as well as the success of what we're seeing in Argentina with Javier Milei.
Hmm.
It's almost undeniable, and it's almost like this is the new style. When we see Cenk from the Young Turks go, and even though I think he hasn't really had a full change, I think a lot of these pundits are going, hey man, I gotta change at least my talking points up a bit, because the general public tide is changing. And that's what I think the importance and the prominence and the power of the Libertarian Party and movement is. We are making force multipliers and shifting the Overton window. And I don't want to negate the importance and the power of that, especially during this time, especially when the Democrats are so horrible. And okay, what else are you going to get? Are you not going to engage with the governing body, the people that are at the head of the seat of power in America? Are we not going to engage when they came to us, because they knew things was going to be so slim that you had to come see us for that 11, 12%,
Hmm.
or that 1% of whatever? We are the hip hop rebellious energy. And the general public is looking for that political home. And even if we don't take the throne, we influence it. And so I think that's the part that is the more impactful portion of it. But I do, to your point, I do think that that's a genuine conversation that needs to be had. That, hey, if main man A doesn't free Ross day one,
Mm.
or I give him a week, cool, you got a lot going on, I give you a week, right? If uh he doesn't do some with this debt ceiling thing and that CR just going through,
Boy, that was ugly.
they're gonna have to do a lot of cutting. Which I go, Javier Milei is coming to the inauguration, which means they got a Trump has a respect for that slash it approach. which is a libertarian ANCAP approach at that, right? I think that there's so many extreme, so-called extreme liberty-minded voices that he's around, and the people that are more dialed into those liberty voices that he has to respect and listen to, like Elon, because of the bag, because of the money, right? I think that it does go in the right direction, but I think with the slashing potentially and the um, all of those different things, I think that the general public has to brace for you're gonna get a long term benefit over time, but it's gonna get tight in the beginning when some of that slashing happens. You know?
Yeah, man. I was talking to Bob Murphy about this last week, and that
Yeah,
was my biggest concern. I think he shares this as well, which is we've got this moment in time. Like you said,
yeah,
we have these, libertarian voices in the room.
yeah.
But I think the medicine that we've got to take to get better is
Ooh,
something that I don't think Trump wants to swallow, right? Because
yeah,
he's Mr. I have the greatest economy ever. This is the best thing ever. I think we all know
yeah.
anyone has studied Austrian economics for like 5 seconds understands the recession is the cure.
Right.
That is the medicine you need to take to get better to make your economy healthy. But it involves short term pain, right? So I don't see. Well, I'm skeptical that that man is going to put up with the news cycle for 9 months while we have a deep, quick recession to come out healthier. Like that. That's the part to me.
If,
I think his.
if he starts announcing that part first, then I think he'll follow through. If I don't hear him announce it, if he says I on day one free rush, if da 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 da, right? And if okay, cool, the libertarian that we got was RFK Jr., which I'm skeptical. These are people that are all reformed Democrats too. So I go, all right, if I can get a reformed Democrat in a coalition of them, and give them one-offs, Tulsi, reformed Democrat. Vivek, I think, reformed Democrat, right? Mentally at least. Um, Trump, reformed Democrat. RFK. If these folks are going, y'all guys are way too extreme over here, and if I can put them in their own specific lane, yeah, put me a RFK, put Bobby in this lane, focusing on health and fitness and vaccines. Yep. I don't have to hear anything about his anti-gun positions because he's anti-gun,
Mhm.
right? Tulsi had a switcheroo, but okay, put her in charge of this. Pardon me, we can't even forget the axe to grind that Cash Patel has and putting him in
I'm
that
getting my
space.
popcorn.
You see what I'm saying? So I think he's assembled some good folks. I think that he will now, especially with Don, from what I'm hearing, Don Jr. being some of the vetting and saying, nah, as opposed to what he initially ran into, which was um, he got elected on his first run. He gets elected. He shows up at the White House, and the deep state says, here are your people. And he goes, okay. In essence, running a company, running a corporation, if you weren't involved in the hires, you have to trust the people that are involved in the hiring, right? You can't do all of the hiring. And I think now he's put certain people. I love that. Was it Ivanka came back,
Yep.
right? This looks like he's trying to run it like Trump, like the early stages of the Trump empire. I'm not upset with that because those people have more of an attachment to his legacy, which is they're tied to. And again, with the Elons and the libertarians and all that, I don't need myself to be in that cabinet. If I can influence, if Angela calls me, and even if Angela's not in the cabinet per se, but she has his ear, she got the bat phone, and she's like, "Yo, Maj, what you think about this?" Which Angela has done before, and I go, this, and this, and hell no, yes, yes, yes. She, all right, cool. If she distills that, runs it around in her brain, and translates that to him from her perspective as the urban libertarian perspective, and then he does things that moves the needle that way, I'm not mad at it. I don't need the title. I need the outcome. And I think we should give a little bit of grace to that. But yeah, in regards to um It's because it's still politics, bro. It ain't you can't get certain things through without certain people. That's just the reality of a primarily two-party system. There's going to be some give and take. If he can stand firm on some economic issues, if he can articulate, hey guys, it's going to be a bumpy ride. We're going to slash though. And here's why we got to slash and this and that. If he's doing that and announcing it, I'm more in alignment with believing it. More in alignment, not totally believe it. Um, and if the people that are around him, I think Elon has a symbiotic relationship with government.
Oh, for sure.
So the liberty component could help Elon, so he has to put it in Trump's ear. And I think that that's going to be the key because that's exploit that symbiotic relationship. Tesla gets a lot of government funding, or not funding, but
Subsidies.
benefits and subsidies, and so
And hold on a second. To be fair to Elon, is that he's come out against the subsidies, right? Like
yeah,
he's said, like we don't want the subsidies. The subsidies came from GM and these other companies
right,
not being able to compete with Tesla, and he said he doesn't want them. I mean, if you take him at his word, like cool, that's
right,
that's the right position. But I'm also, we're not dumb here, right? Like you have this convergence of corporate power and state power.
yeah,
Bad things tend to happen, even if there's good intentions, right?
right. Even with the Peter Thiels around and that and that, and I'm like, now, now, if we can hold their feet to the, understand that you guys is like, we set you up with the Avengers, and we gave you a little bit of room. But if not, after this term, if he doesn't make, and again, he's still got to push back. Congress exists, right? But if he's doing more of the same, no libertarian at all. This was a very uniquely situated scenario. Angela made magic happen. She invited Biden too, right? Um, the Mises Caucus has made magic happen while being attacked on certain levels by people that are just upset and whatever. So we were in a unique scenario. You got to take advantage of it. Okay, we took advantage of it. We rolled the dice. We trying to hold people feet to the fire and keep their word true to what it is. Liberty being our North Star, recognizing that we may not get it to liberty as fast, but we're going to accept the concessions that we can take along the way. But if it's just the absolute opposite 180 opposite day, as soon as he gets in there, absolutely no one should be giving support to the GOP or the Democrats, and the libertarians should completely do their own thing from now on here on out. I'm cool with giving everybody the onesie try because we were uniquely situated. And we should always be the person that y'all got to come to us to be. We the kingmakers. 100%. Ron Paul's on our side, right? So all of you guys that want to look cool are listening to what we're talking about. We the new cool. We it. We the representation of the founding fathers, not the GOP, not the guys not the Mike Johnson that just went with the Dems. Not you, man. That ain't you. Ain't us. We ain't the same cloth. And so I think some of the people with the resources know that. And again, internationally, Javier Milei, it's hard to agree. Disagree with those results over there.
Man, and like you said, he called it. He is straight up front. This is what I'm going to do. And the
Right.
dude came in and absolutely slashed the shit out of everything. And then everything he predicted started coming true. All these economic indicators started shifting overnight. And man, like he just totally called the ball.
How you get from that big of a deficit to a surplus in less than a year? And he's throwing the world the ANCAP Liberty Economic Austrian alley oop. Hey guys, this is how you do it.
Yeah,
And I'm
argue with the results, man. Go ahead.
that's
I
it.
dare you.
And so I think Trump has too many liberty adjacent people around him to all the way FAFO. But I think he gonna play the game. He always gonna show up and touch the wall, as a symbolic gesture. He always gonna, APAC exists and they got power. And so and he a big spender. He ain't fiscally conservative, so he gonna have to do both. He gonna have to spend, because if I was him, I would have been completely quiet about the conversation about this CR. I ain't the president yet, champ. I got to sit this one out because we know what they're gonna do when the
Yep.
truth of the matter hit with all of the spending. January the 20th, they're gonna lay the economy right at his feet. This was his fault.
100%, 100%. And this is honestly, Maj, what scares me about the libertarians being around his orbit, particularly Elon being lumped in as a libertarian now, is if Trump doesn't do what we want him to do and things go off the rails, I think the libertarians are going to get blamed. It's going to be a black eye for the whole movement, man. So I feel like we've got this moment, and it's really important to protect. And so I think you're right too, because I've seen the people who I've been somewhat critical of. Who have been really hardcore MAGA, like leading up to the election. And I know there's kind of like a schism in the libertarian community about, supporting Trump or not. I've seen these people, even with the picks and these various things going on with the CR, they have not pulled any punches. The people that were most vocal supporting Trump, they're like, fuck that. That is out. That was out of pocket. I'm not going to support it. So I don't think there's much you can do to hold a politician's feet to the fire, but at least withdrawing support and being vocally critical in public, man, that's the best we can do. Because I do not want to be blamed. Have this, really sound, I think we believe our ethical principles are superior, right? And that the non-aggression principle and Austrian economics are, superior to Keynesianism. Like, we've got this superior thing, and I don't want it tarnished by the Trump thing, dude. Like we got to be
loud and vocal about this. Is the reason, based on the levers of power in DC and how the two-party system is, and Trump assembled an Avengers type of team, and if everybody stays in their lane, not trying to veer off into different lanes, this presented this. If we're vocal about that and then go, that's the reason why we kind of supported it. Because the alternative, I forget the guy's name. He did Rogan, and he was like, he was in a meeting and they were talking about AI. He was like, don't even start a startup.
Oh, Mark Anderson.
Yeah. Don't even start a startup. We got this. We're going to control it. We're going to this. And that's just that. Will be no money going towards, if you're not these three companies that we going to puppeteer them joints. And he can't go that way. It's the same concept. It becomes, she said, how much of a capital gains tax? 45.6%. What? No. Just no. We got to go with the other person.
Yep.
Right? And so if we explain that thoroughly and then go, we gave you guys a chance. You did the exact opposite. We threw our name out there for you. We gave you all of the absolute best information. Javier Milei at the same time was in real time showing you how this could go, and you just did the opposite. We gave you the benefit over doubt, and I don't think anybody's wrong for that in these very uniquely situated circumstances. But I just think, again, you got to keep beating that drum and being loud about it too.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I really want to talk to you about this one, dude. This has been on my mind a lot, and you're like the best person I can think of to float this to. Like, what do you think about the concept of drones being used in warfare as it relates to the Second Amendment, man? I don't see anyone talking about it in the gun community.
I think it's already here. Asymmetrical warfare, demoralization, fear, working in zones. The Navy's been doing that for decades. We're going to hit you. Our boat's all the way over here. You're over there. My missile going to see you in 6 minutes. So it's just another form of it. I think that the whole, there's drones in bigger than just the Second Amendment. Because you got to get a certain level of close to do certain things. And if you get a certain level of close with a drone in Texas, them boys going to shoot your drone down. That's just what it is. That's going to happen.
Well, if they can, right? So
if they can.
this is interesting to me. That's why I'm asking this question. I think we've all seen the Ukraine videos, right? I think
Yeah.
that's the first foray into actually using drones in a hot war
Yep.
combat type of situation. You're seeing how innovative they are. It's a
Yep.
cheap thing to do, but I think that's the very first, just the tip of the iceberg, man. We're seeing, hey, you can use drones this way. Now you start talking about coordinated swarms of drones, and these things are going to get more and more advanced. You're going to have
Sophisticated.
AI.
It's
Yeah.
here. It's here. And you just got to deal with it. This is why when I keep hearing people like, yo, I'm going to get a Tesla robot, I'm like, how many movies do you need to see?
Been some cautionary tales, man.
Terminator 2 came out in the 90s. And so, I mean, I'm being, a little bit lighthearted about it, but it's here now. How far are we going to continue to walk down that street is a different thing. I think that the conversation I think Americans should have drones too. I don't, if in 100 years I'm still alive and the weapon of choice, the arm of choice is laser guns, I'm going to have laser guns like G.I. Joe. Pew, 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 pew. I'm going to have them. If the American government has drones, I'm going to have drones. Like, I have a flamethrower. It was one of the Boring Company. It was
Oh, you bought one of
Stila.
those.
Yeah, they stopped making them, I think, but I got one, and then I saw another one, and I was like, well, I'm gonna get that one next, right? Um, Americans should have them too. I'm always gonna defer to the founders of America. I'm always gonna defer to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Y'all got them, we got them. And this argument that like, well, why would you need it? Well, why would you need it? Well, because I want to protect me too.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like people vibe with that argument too much, man. I've been in so many arguments around that, and everyone has to justify why you need this to me. And it's like, bro, like that's none of your goddamn business.
Right. Here's my justification. Fuck off. There's my justification. I'm a safe and responsible American. Here's more justification. Talk about the original drone. I live in Philadelphia. In the mid 80s, the Philadelphia Police Department flew a helicopter over 2 city blocks and dropped a firebomb and blew up 2 city blocks
Remember
on
that?
Baltimore Avenue in West Philadelphia. And as the men, women, and children were running out, the police shot and killed them. That's a drone for your ass. So, cool. I want one too. And all Americans should have one too. It's the same conversation. Should civilians have full kit? Yup. I got quads. Should civilians train in kit? Should civilians have bulletproof? Yep, I got ceramic plates. I got level 5 plates. I got gas masks. I got 100,000 rounds of 9mm. I'm cool with it. Cool, y'all have them. We're gonna have them too. So we're not gonna do this like that conversation been dead. Shouts to Cody. Cody Wilson said this a while ago, and I thought it was some of the most succinct statement to ever make. He said, the conversation about the Second Amendment is done. As far as 3D printing is concerned, the printers exist, and the codes are already in the internet space.
You can't stop that.
That's it. The signal out. You can't stop the signal. It's the same conversation, but where we got to make sure we doing is we got to get public support and urban demographics on board with this, because it's not enough to just say, to play NWA song F the police. You have to say the state is a parasite and you've concentrated on our community for a very long time and we not cool with it and we don't support it. If you know what I support a homicide detective that's finding out who killed somebody's child. Want to support that. There's an actual crime. That bad guy killed this person. Go find him. Same thing as Cash Patel said. All of you guys that's just sitting in this FBI building, I would dispatch him. You guys are cops. Go be cops. Go catch criminals. Why are y'all all in this building for? Same concept. And so I'm always going to defer to that. Y'all got them? Cool. We got them too. I may or may not have sagas. I may or may not have armor piercing shit. You never know. You never know. And you're not supposed to know because I'm an American.
Mm-hmm. None of your damn business. Well, shoot, man, I'm really hoping that we can move the needle on the drone stuff because I don't think it's being talked about too much. And I think it is going to be the future of warfare. And it scares me. I think it's going to take an incident. Like somebody is going to use a drone to attack a shopping mall or something like that. And that's going to be like, oh, this is going to be, another way to infringe on the Second Amendment.
I also think that they're using them now on the propaganda to like provoke. Oh, it was Iran.
Yep.
Iran tried to kill Trump. That didn't work. Oh, those drones from Iran.
They
get us into another forever. Never
they
mind
really want war with Iran.
Yeah, it's like I think that part is the more immediate. Like, y'all, we got to make sure we don't fall for that cat first. Like, it was the Iranians. They did it, and it's like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't, bro.
It's so dumb.
So anyway, man, listen, I got to wrap up because I got to get to the next thing.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, thanks for coming by. I wanted to give you a chance to plug your shit, man. I contribute a bunch to your Solutionary Center. I want to give you an opportunity to solicit everything you need to and tell people where to find you.
Everybody, please, if you got something from this cast today, please, 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 please. We have a $75,000 donor. A donor is going to give us $75,000. We just got to match it. At the time when he called me or texted me, it was $150,000 left. He said, I'm in for half. Let's do another half and half donor. So I think we need 548 more donors at the $100 level. Just go over to the site. This keeps the classes free to all. We're going to be able to book them through 2025, the in-person classes. This helps us buy our Solutionary Center. We need help. Like, I'm not a dude that's like, oh, no, everything's fine. No. If things ain't fine, it's like, bro, we just tight, But more so than just being tight, we want everybody to continue the classes, continue to learn, and get more people involved, as well as we want to buy that building, and I want to stop fundraising. Like that's the hardest part of the gig. Like, and then it's weird because it looks like you all, even giving in shouts for money, they look like, oh, it's all about the money, and it's like, well, we got to use the money. We have to generate the resources. So guys, please, man, we need 548 more people at the $100 level. All of the donors get access to all of the online classes, all of the over $100, all of the curriculums. You get a link to sell the merch and get commissions from it. You get access to the Solutionary 9 group, workout drills, meal plans, fire, shooting drills, all of that other good stuff. And the link to do that is givesendgo.com/solutionary. Givesendgo.com/solutionary. If you follow me on Instagram or X, at Toure999 on X, Big Daddy Toure on Instagram. Follow me there and just comment the word give, and I'll send you the link. The link will automate right to you, to your DM. But we definitely need the support. Make sure you guys chop up, share this content all over the place. Make sure you're sharing it. This thought process and getting people to be exposed to these different types of ideas and getting the funding needed to continue this, because we don't even file for government grants. It's not our money. It's not our money. If y'all wanted us to have your money, you just straight donate, right? So this is very, very critical. So givesendgo.com/solutionary. Follow me on, again, Instagram, Big Daddy Toure, X, Maj Toure999. And just support the work. Support the work. We'll give you more for giving more. But again, 548 more donors at the $100 level. And thank you all for listening today.
Yes, sir. Thanks for stopping by, man. Really appreciate it. Great chat.
Absolutely. Peace.
Bye.